Happy Friday. You're here with your favorite coffee talk team, Faryn. Faryn and Margaret, and we're so happy to be here with you. It is June 19th, a very amazing day in our history, and we will be posting about that a little bit later here on Socialize LA. But we are just, our mission as a business is to help other business owners expand their business, expand their message and their brand. And so we want to make sure that you feel like you can come to us with any marketing business question and we are going to help you, which is why we started these coffee talks, because we get a lot of questions in our free group, which is called the Modern Marketing Support Group. It is exactly that Modern Marketing Support Group. And also within our membership, which is the hashtag Flex Your Influence community. So we sometimes see questions that come up multiple times. And that's why we thought Coffee Talk was so important. So we can just come on and discuss it publicly. There's nothing like being public.
Do
it. So Faryn, what have you been up to? What's keeping you excited? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much. It just feels like every day there's something new. Some new exciting members are joining our groups and we're kind of diving in and immersing ourselves in their business. We had a really great open enrollment for the Flex Your Influence community. As Margaret said, we just wrapped that up. And so we've got new members that we're getting to know and sort of diving into what their current challenges are, which, as we all know, are evolving pretty much daily as our cultural climate is shifting. We had a really insightful blog post that I shared around yesterday that Margaret was invited to contribute to, just talking to different thought leaders around marketing and business development about, advice for businesses during this time of how to address everything that's going on in a way that still is true to your business and helps you connect with your community and your customers. So there's a lot going on. But Margaret and I have been talking about the topic of customer experience for a really long time, even though there's so much going on, surrounding marketing. The topic of customer experience is something that keeps coming through regardless, because the way that you're treating your customers today is really going to inform their experience with the brand, but more importantly, whether or not they're going to recommend your brand or your company to their friends. And so I think that's something that we wanted to tackle today on Coffee Talk, just to kind of hit the highlights of what is customer experience, how do you implement a program in your business, and why is that so important at any time, but especially, today, given everything that's going on in social media and in the news and in the world.
Oh my gosh, yes. And you would think that the customer experience is like, duh, of course you want them to have an amazing experience, but you would be surprised at how many customers walk into a business or purchase through a business or hire a service and come away really disappointed. And I think as a business owner, for me, it's been a hard question to ask. It's been a hard question to say, why have you decided to, go a different direction, or why? And this is, years past of just owning a business, because sometimes the truth does hurt. And so for those of you who are listening and felt that way, let's just discuss why it's important, as Faryn stated, and we're going to help you to just build up that courage to hear the hard things, because at the end of the day, it's going to be magical for your business, your clients, your customers, and your team, and the end goal. So, Faryn, I'll just kick it off with, why is it important that we even go above and beyond? Why is it important to give an extra thought? Because people already think they're already doing a great job by serving their customer with whatever product or service they have.
Yeah, so just to take a step back and talk a tiny bit about the evolution of the term customer experience, because you may have been hearing it increasingly talked about around, different talks and in terms of marketing, we used to have traditional marketing, you would have sales, and then you would have your customer experience team, which really used to be called customer service. Margaret and I were laughing because you have to think of Kelly Kapoor in the annex of the office. You had like 1 or 2 people, and they were the customer service team, and they were just basically responsible for dealing with complaints. And over the past maybe 10 years or so, but a lot more in the past few years, you've seen the concept of customer service evolve to customer experience and really permeate every aspect of an organization. Today, the companies and brands that are successful, that are doing it right, are really thinking about customer experience across all touch points. It touches every department in your organization.
Yes.
Everybody's aware of what the customer experience metrics are and what they personally can do to help elevate that. Part of that is because of the fragmentation of communication channels and the fact that people do have so many choices. So why are they going to pick your business if they've had a great experience with you and they share that with their friends? People are more likely to trust recommendations from people they know and trust than, an advertisement. So
Yes.
right, have become the new gold standard. You want to get those scores, you want to get people to recommend your business to their friends. So that's kind of a little bit of the background of like how customer experience has evolved, and then we can sort of get into the how-tos and the whys.
Well, I wish you could see my thought bubbles as you were talking, my commentary, because, for those of you that don't know, 12 years ago, when I started this company, we were all about customer service. Do you remember that, Faryn?
Mm-hmm.
My whole company was geared towards helping businesses connect with their customer. And that was from my many years at Disney and then doing that for the company I worked for in New York. And because I knew the impact and how important it was. And the way digital started playing such a big part of this was because a lot of the companies 12 years ago were not connecting digitally at all. And so I was an early adopter. So I was like, oh, I can do that for you. And then that's how all of this evolved. And so customer service to me, customer experience, the customer journey, all of that is like so, so, so important. And one thing that I've said for many, many years, Faryn, and tell me if you agree, is that not only are you in competition with your other, shoes, a pair of flats. I have X amount of brands that I like to buy flats from.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe someone else says, well, you don't really need a flat. Look at this wedge. It's just as comfortable. So now you have like these other indirect competitors. So, but you build an amazing experience and an amazing culture around your brand, and people just feel connected to it. They won't even think about going anywhere else.
Exactly. And that really comes down to the first thing that we wanted to talk about, which is why customer experience is important. And it's about what you're saying. It's about understanding your customer. It's about understanding what their interests are, what's important to them, and making sure that that knowledge is guiding the evolution of your business. So you can do it 2 ways, right? Sometimes business is driven by like the vision that the people at the top, the creators of the business have, and then the market will sort of come. If you build it, they will come. And then there's the reverse, where your marketing decisions and the evolution of your business are really based on the audience. And that could be scarier because you don't know where those insights are going to take you. But it's often those unexpected insights that you get when you listen to customers that like I said, you weren't expecting them. That's why they're unexpected. But that can take your business into a new and exciting direction. That's how innovation happens. And that's how ultimately you're making sure that if you're basing your business decisions on your audience and what they want, then that audience is going to respect that, they're going to appreciate that, and they're going to be there for you. So it's very exciting. Like I said, it's new to some businesses. Some businesses have been doing it for a really long time, but I think people can get overwhelmed by the idea of it. Well, I've never done customer experience before. I don't have a customer experience department. What do I need to do? It really just comes down to listening to your customers. There's so many different ways to do that, but there's a lot of platforms out there that make it really easy to just start with a simple survey. So after somebody interacts with you through a purchase online or through an in-person event or on social media, once you have their email address or their phone number, because you can do it via text or email, you can poll them. You can find out, how was their experience with you? Did they have feedback? And would they recommend you to a friend? And that's really the basics of making sure that you're listening. And then you want to start collecting that data in a way that you can see it progress over time and share it if there's other people in your organization. Like I said, however big you are, you want to make sure that everybody working for you has access to that information so that they're aware of, as a team, what are you doing well and what could you improve on?
Yep. And this touches everything, like how people want to be served, what they want to see, how they want to be included in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people just want a little bit of spotlight. So in integrating some type of a customer spotlight or something, oh my gosh, that can get people like vying for that space on your social media. I know when someone shares my story, to me, that's like customer loyalty. Like, it's just like one more nail that I am committed to them.
Exactly. Their own personal brand, their own personal stamp on something you did, which is a really nice compliment.
Right.
In a way that you're going to be able to reach their audience in an authentic way that you would never be able to otherwise.
No. And I'm not trying to say that like I'm anyone as a consumer, but if you notice, I don't share a lot of brands on my social media because I've taken years, right, Faryn, curating my, building my brand, building, my small personal brand, but still mighty.
Yep.
And I don't use it like willy-nilly. And so I'll share brands here and there, but I really want to make sure that they're going to appreciate what I'm going to do. Does that make sense?
Yes, and people expect that. When I see, what was those roses that you shared?
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, this must be really cool. I should look into this.
Yes. Margaret. And they shared my story and commented and wrote me back privately, like, thank you for sharing.
Awesome.
Yeah. So now I need to buy the big one. So, right, exactly. So anyway, I'm digressing. That's my job here. So how do we do this, Faryn?
Okay, so I think, you want to think about how big or small you are and not to bite off more than you can chew, but you can start really simple with a survey, and you want to establish a Net Promoter Score. So the acronym there is NPS. You've probably seen it around. It's the most widely accepted metric for how you're doing in terms of customer experience. And basically it is, how would you rate your experience with XYZ on a scale of 1 to 10? How likely are you to recommend this business to a friend? So it's usually 1 to 10. It could be 1 to 5, but that is the base where you want to start. You want to establish what your Net Promoter Score is. And then from there, you want to keep the survey simple, but you can tack on a couple of follow-up questions to try to dig out why the person rated you the way that they did. And that can help you understand where you're doing really well and what areas you have for improvement. So Net Promoter Score is, I would say, probably the first step. But there's, a lot of different ways, and we get into this more in our Flex or Influence community all the time, of how you can gauge how you're doing with customers. There's customer appreciation, where you're reaching out to your top customers, just really thank them. You're not asking for anything in return, or maybe you are asking them, would it be okay if I use a quote from you on my website or for an upcoming event? A lot of times customers are more than happy, they're honored to be approached in that way, and they're happy to help. So it's just kind of starting that dialogue, establishing a baseline for how you're doing in terms of that scale of 1 to 10, and would somebody recommend your business to a friend, why or why not? And then from there, you can grow and you can establish best practices for, okay, if we're doing bad in this certain area, let's figure out why that is and what we can put into place to improve our scores.
Absolutely. And I think also, like, if you ever feel like you've lost a customer or a client, asking them, and sometimes they're not going to be honest. Sometimes they're not going to take why take the time? You know, some of them, they don't want to take the time to tell you why. It's an uncomfortable conversation. And maybe they're going to like pad your feelings a little bit. So you need to be really honest with yourself and say, why did we lose X or X? Like, what's happening? So instead of just saying, oh, well, that's just business as usual, you know, it's natural. Ask yourself that. You have to ask yourself the hard questions.
Yeah, and another point about just in terms of the quarantine and the fact that people are doing so much online shopping from home, not just in the traditional things that you would normally buy online, but people are buying furniture online, people are buying exercise equipment, things that you would normally never think of being comfortable with because you would want to go to the store and see it first. Mm-hmm. Reviews are so much more important than ever now because you want to see what other people have experienced before you make that purchase. So I think incorporating reviews on a product level, on a service level, through social media and all your digital properties is one of the strongest tactics that businesses can use today, especially if you can get them recent. Like I know when I look at reviews, I want to see something from March or April or May because that's going to tell me how the business has been doing in the current climate, not necessarily a review from a year ago.
Yeah.
So highly recommend figuring out ways to get customer feedback and reviews now and how you can leverage those across your digital communication.
Yes, absolutely. And that brings me to our customers, our clients are sophisticated. And they are looking, they have their own, you know, deal breakers. It's a deal breaker. So it's like they're looking at the reviews. You know, I think about 4 years ago, I made the switch to really almost exclusively buying my clothes online. I like shopping for fun, not if I really need something. I hate that because you can never find it.
No.
When I shop online, I have 100, 200, 1,000 stores to choose from. So anyway, but I've learned, and people are like, how do you do that? I can't do that. And I said, well, it's a learn thing. I've learned what brands I like. I've learned what to look for. And the companies that really understand that sophisticated customer, they've also equipped their websites with the right questions to ask. And they'll say, this person, it's an avatar, weighs this much and has a, pear-shaped or hourglass, or, they give you all these details. So you're like, oh, that's my body. It looks really good on her. I'm buying it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just clothing. There's a lot of different things. So for those of you who are listening, because a lot of our listeners are small businesses who are service-based. So one really good thing that you can do is don't forget to do the freemium and see what comes from that. If your freemium is not turning anyone into a discovery call or a phone call or an email, then you need to look at your process. Is there enough follow-up with the freemium, or is the freemium giving them enough to get excited about you? But if your freemium is getting your phone to ring and your emails going, then that freemium is awesome.
Absolutely. And is it wrapped in that customer experience? Are you listening and learning from those customers coming in addition to, your tried and true long-time customers? But when somebody is new and comes in and makes their first purchase or does their first service with you, that's the best time, while you're fresh in their minds, to reach out and ask them, do you mind if I just ask you a few questions? Even if it's super casual, all the way up to, a very formal survey. There's so many different ways to do it. And we just really want to encourage you all to give it a try and not shy away. Like Margaret said, it can be scary to hear what people have to say, but ultimately you can only get better from getting that type of feedback.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And as we see, as the world changes, sometimes we have to change. And sometimes we have to say, you know what? We've been doing this wrong. Let's change. That's okay. To switch gears. With the Flex Your Influence community, what it is right now as to when I originally launched the first beta.
Yep.
Totally different. And it was painful, I will say, because you never want to create something that people don't like or that you're not proud of, or because it was still hard work. But the thing is that we have to be okay as business owners that we have to evolve. And we're just like, we're learning, we're evolving. And I am constantly dedicated to the mission to helping business flex their influence. And if something is not doing that just right, then I'm gonna tweak it.
Absolutely. And I think that, we've seen a lot of times we'll put together content or trainings that we think are going to go over and everyone's going to be so excited about them. And those are the ones that don't get too much of a response. And then there'll be something that we think, oh, maybe we're not sure if this is going to resonate or not. And then that's the piece of content that everybody responds to. And we find out, oh, the group is really interested in this topic. We didn't think they would be. So, let's focus our energy on blowing that out and making that a really valuable, next step for the group.
Yep.
So it really is constantly evolving.
I think one thing with the Flex Your Influence community that I've learned this year is that, yes, we're all learning and people continually want to learn. But Faryn, when you say that our members are mostly looking for accountability and just someone to bounce ideas off of?
Absolutely. I think we've seen a lot of interest in the idea of we're an extra set of eyes. We're here to help when you're stuck, unstuck you.
Yeah. Totally.
Members have really enjoyed sharing work in progress concepts, website mock-ups, copy for, certain marketing materials, A and B, and which one do you like better?
Program names, program pricing too. I mean, the conversations are pretty, it's your business. So, but anyway, this has been fun, Faryn.
Yeah, thank you so much. Missed our coffee talk.
Yeah, me too. Well, we do have to wrap this up because if you have not been following me, I am putting on the NABO, National Association of Women Business Owners, 45th virtual birthday party. And so I am on my way there. So thank you so much, Faryn. Thank you everyone for listening. If you have any questions, you can find us here. You can message us, and you can also feel like this is your invitation and your warm welcome to our free Facebook group, the Modern Marketing Support Group. So thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Have a great weekend, everybody.